Hey guys, Jeff here from Films at Home, and in today's video I'm going to do a quick 4K review of a movie that I've talked a little bit about in past videos, and I was very thankful to get this sent to me from a viewer. We're going to talk about Toy Story 4 4K. So if you previously watched my last video, I got Toy Story on Blu-ray and I was talking about how animation in 4K, I'm just really not sold on it. I really don't get it. I typically will just get the Blu-ray. And a lot of people commented and said, hey, Toy Story 4 was rendered in 4K. It has a 4K DI. It's true 4K. All this different stuff. And so my friends over at HD Movie Source, they're actually a website. They sell, PlayStation codes, Blu-rays, 4Ks, Steelbook pre-orders. It's a pretty cool place to go, especially for some of the limited edition stuff that you may not be able to get out to the store to buy. And they said, hey, we saw all the comments about Toy Story 4. What if we sent you the 4K copy that we have in our store? And so it showed up a few days later, so huge props to them, and I was able to check it out. I also did a lot of research on this title, and it's some really interesting stuff. So if you like this sort of thing, if you like Blu-ray, 4K, home theater, reviews, definitely subscribe to the channel, definitely leave the video a like, and now we're going to jump into this review starting with the video. Now, the video on this was pretty impressive, but like I said, I had already watched the Blu-ray, and so I had a Blu-ray comparison point, and I read a lot about this title. So this is where I want to get into the sort of interesting thing. I've read some reviews online, some 4K reviews that say this was rendered at 2K, and then they created a 4K digital intermediate just for the movie theaters, right? So it's basically an upscale, but it is true 4K. I've read other things that say it was rendered in 4K. I'm really not sure which to believe at this point. It definitely has a 4K DI. So this is a true 4K, but I don't know if it was, rendered in 2K and then upscaled to 4K, or if it was 4K all the way through. It's a little different with animation. This would be like if you shot a movie in 2K digitally, but then you finished it in 4K, right? You're upscaling it, but you shot at a lower resolution. Typically what you get is they shoot at a higher resolution, say 3.4, 4K, even 6K, and then it'll get downsampled to 2K for movie theaters. So this is a really interesting thing, and I haven't really been able to find much from Disney or Pixar on how it was actually done. So I'm not as impressed with the 4K video as I think some of you thought I might be, and I think it just has to do with the fact that I still don't really see a massive difference. There are some finer details which are a little bit better, but I didn't think the HDR really helped that much. Maybe the Blu-ray is already so vibrant and it has such great animation that the HDR didn't really pop, but I couldn't call this a reference 4K title. I've watched other 4K animated titles like How to Train Your Dragon 3. That one's probably still at the top of my list for animated movies. Some of the stuff from Illumination is also really good. And I just, other Pixar movies are great. Coco is great, but it wasn't rendered in 4K. And so I'm having a hard time justifying still the 4K pickup for Toy Story 4. The kind of interesting thing about this animated release is there's a video online called, how Pixar basically shot this movie. And the way they made the animation, they wanted it to feel like it was being shot through camera lenses, not just, drawn in a computer. It was being shot through camera lenses. And so they almost added a film grain in some scenes. You'll see this done in the Lego movies too, where they have like solar flares and like odd kind of shots and different widescreen like lenses and basically simulating, what would this be like if it was actually shot on, on film or on a digital camera, even though it's animated. Toy Story did this too. They played around with the little film grain, and I don't know if I like it. I think when I watch animation, I don't care about the film grain. I want to see really tight lines. I want to see like real nice definition, high details, high quality. I don't care about the film grain when it comes to animation because I'm just looking for a great picture that's gonna pop off my screen, and the film grain doesn't add much. So I was a little disappointed in that. Now, the audio is a Dolby Atmos track, and it is very solid. I'll give them props for that, although it is an upgrade over the Blu-ray. So that's a cool thing about this 4K, but a crappy thing that Disney does is that they tend to put the Atmos track only on the 4K disc. And then on this Blu-ray disc, for example, we have a 7.1 DTS HD. Still a great track, but there's no reason why Disney couldn't put the Atmos track on the Blu-ray and the 4K. And so that alone, I think, is a reason to upgrade and pay an extra few dollars. If you're gonna drop $22, $23 for a Disney movie at release point anyway, go spend the $25 because the Atmos track is worth that extra $2. It's a real shame that Disney makes you do that and you can't get away with the Blu-ray with the high quality audio, but that's just a matter of what it is. Audio here is very good. Dialogue is very clear. The music is great as always. And the small action sequences in here do give the Atmos effect some really nice pop in my room. You know, I have a smaller room, so the Atmos effect is really powerful. In a larger room, you may not get the same experience, but it is a definite upgrade over the 7.1. And so that's a really nice feature that unfortunately you need to pay the extra couple dollars for the 4K on. 4K, same slipcover as the Blu-ray. There's also a Steelbook and a Target exclusive out there. You know, artwork's fine. It is what it is. You get your slipcover. On the inside now, you get disc art on both your Blu-ray and your 4K discs. That's really cool. Also comes with the digital copy for movies anywhere. And then in terms of special features, nothing on the 4K disc, which is pretty standard with Disney, but on the Blu-ray there are deleted scenes, story about Bo Peep, Toy Stories, which is cast and crew going back on the series as a whole, Woody and Buzz, another look back at a legendary friendship, Toy Box, which allows you to meet the new cast of characters, a lesson in voice recording, and then about, you know, a half an hour more of features. So that's what you get on this. Again, you know, I don't know. I have a hard time justifying the extra money here over the 4K unless you really want the Atmos track. So yeah, is the $2 or $3 extra worth it for Atmos? I would say yes, but the picture quality, I don't think it's as good as a lot of you thought it might be. Everyone was coming at me with comments about it's a 4K, it's a 4K, it's a real 4K, 4K DI, 4K rendering. We don't know that for sure, that it's a 4K rendering. I can't find anything on it. And honestly, when you're talking about animation, the difference between 2K and 4K is negligible still, in my opinion. After looking at this, it's a great 4K disc. It really is. It's awesome video. It's really, really cool, but so is the Blu-ray. That's all I'm trying to say here. Always looks great. Disney Pixar always looks great on 4K, but so does the Blu-ray, and that's just why I have a hard time justifying it. But like I said, if you do want to pay the $3 to get the Atmos upgrade, that's one of the annoying things that Disney does, not putting Atmos on their 4K disc. So that's it for this review. Hopefully you guys liked it. You know, I was excited to check this out. I'm glad I could go back and check out a 4K, especially after some of you convinced me to do it. I don't see the value necessarily in the 4K rendering of an animated movie as much as I might for an older movie shot on 35mm or film, or even some movies like Passengers, which were shot in 4K, finished in 4K. Those do look better when you're talking about actual cameras. When we're talking about animation, I just can't see it, unfortunately. Really nice release though overall. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's just more, my complaints in the video are more the difference between the 4K and the Blu-ray is negligible. So hope you enjoyed the review. Definitely remember to follow me on Instagram, subscribe, like this video, check out all the links down in my description as well as my merchandise, and I will see you guys soon with more 4K reviews. I just got in the Wizard of Oz 4K today, as well as Hobbs and Shaw 4K, so those reviews will be coming up very soon. So stay tuned for those. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.